What's up, guys? Today we're going to be checking out the brand new Hisense L9Q Ultra Short Throw Projector. And shout out to Hisense for sending this out for me to review. Thank you, guys. And you know what? I'm really excited to check this out because this is their flagship projector. And I've been following this projector for a good year now because not only does it look cool, but it's got some pretty impressive specs. But inside, we get the accessories bag, which contains the remote control, the power cord, batteries, and of course the manual in the back. We also get some gloves, and then inside this little box is the cleaning kit, so you can clean the lens with a little blower and a brush. So this is maybe a little bit bigger than some of the other USTs that I've had. It does weigh a little bit. It does weigh about 28.4 pounds. So it's got a bit of weight to it. And check this out. This may be the nicest ultra short throw I've ever seen in my possession. I'm gonna see if we can capture this on camera, but this whole dark area of the projector, this has a faux wood grain. So it looks like wood. It almost kind of feels like wood, but it is made out of plastic. So you can see all the little ridges and stuff like that, just the texture of the wood pattern. And then of course we have the trim piece here. It's not quite rose gold, but it's also a little pinkish. It's almost like a pink bronze color. So it is pretty nice looking. And it matches the faux wood grain really nicely. And if you look at the little accent here, this does have the badge that says that the audio is made by DVLA. So as far as speaker wise, this does come with a 6.2.2 surround sound setup built into the sound bar. So we've got up-firing speakers along here. We got speakers that are shooting in the front. We got speakers shooting from the sides. So this should give you a pseudo Dolby ATMOS surround sound experience. This will project an image from 80 inches up to 200 inches. This does have a rated lumen output of 5,000 and the contrast ratio is 5,000 to 1. Let's see what's around back here. So as far as connections, we've got 4 HDMI inputs. 2 are HDMI 2.1. The other 2 are HDMI 2.0. It does support ALLM if you're a video gamer. It's got 2 USB-A inputs. One is 3.0, one is 2.0. It's got an optical output. There is an antenna input, so if you want to plug your antenna up into this and try to get some terrestrial TV, you could do that as well. And then of course the power inlet is there. If we swing it around on the sides, so on this side you can see we've got the side firing speakers there. Swing it around to the other side, and then on the other side we have another side firing speaker. And if we take a look on the bottom here, we do have some mounts, so if you do want to mount this on your ceiling, you can mount this on your ceiling with the appropriate ceiling mount. And then if you want to get this leveled, you can see here there are 4 feet which you can use to level the projector, get it as flat as possible if you're putting this on a shelf or a stand or something. But this does support HDR10, HDR10 Plus, Dolby Vision, HLG. And again, the biggest thing here is that it does have 5,000 lumens. It does support BT 2020 at 110%. So this should be some awesome looking HDR. So let's go ahead and get this thing set up. As far as screen size, I am projecting on a 150-inch Screen Innovations Maestro 2, which is an acoustically transparent screen. And I am projecting from approximately 13 inches from the front of the screen. Okay, so here we have the homepage of the L9Q. This does run on Android TV or Google TV. And as you can see, just flipping through the menus, it is pretty snappy. However, I have noticed that with my time with it, this can get a little sluggish. So from time to time, you will need to give this a little fresh little reset or reboot. Otherwise, this is pretty quick. And of course, you have your apps. And if you want to add some more apps, you can always do so in the Google Play Store. But let's go ahead really quick, and then we'll check out some of the settings, some of the relevant settings. So the first section here, let's just check out the display and sound. So under picture settings, we get a few different picture modes, Right now I've got it on filmmaker mode, which will turn off all of the processing in the projector. We've got theater, we've got energy saving, sports, standard, and then vivid. But for this, I'm going to keep this on filmmaker mode. You could apply the settings to all the sources or on just the current source. Under content type auto detection, this will automatically detect the filmmaker mode or IMAX modes tagged in the content and then switch right over. We've got AI scene, which is grayed out right now, but this will analyze the current scene and automatically optimize the picture quality. We've got the automatic light sensor, which will automatically adjust the screen brightness depending on the ambient light in your room. Under laser luminance, we've got from 0 all the way up to a +10. For scenario enhancement, this will automatically adjust the brightness according to the scene and make the contrast more powerful. So this will automatically brighten or darken the laser in the projector to enhance your black levels. And then we've got sliders for contrast, black level, dark detail, which will raise the blacks a little bit to bring out some more of that shadow detail. We've got your gamma, we've got all the way down from a 2.0, 22, 24, and then 1886. Under active contrast, we've got low, medium, and then high. We've got your brightness enhancer, which right now we've got it on off. This is on low, and then this is on high, which makes everything look a little bit more bluish or greenish. I personally wouldn't use that, it just looks really off. And then here for HDR enhancer, this will enhance your SDR content and make it look more like HDR. Under color, we've got sliders for color, hue, color temperature. We've got warm 1, 2, standard, and then cool. For color temperature adaptation, according to the operating status of the laser device, the color temperature will be automatically adjusted and maintained consistently. For color space, we've got this on native, auto, BT709, P3, and then 2020. And then under dynamic color enhancer, we've got low, medium, and then high, and this will just boost the vividness and intensity of colors for whatever you're watching. So if it looks a little too dull for you, you can always turn this on high or whatever you feel is necessary. Next section is clarity. We've got sliders for sharpness, the smooth gradient, super resolution, which will smooth the edges of objects and enhance the sharpness and details of the picture in real time using AI technology. We've got noise reduction, MPEG noise reduction, and then motion enhancement. We've got custom, where you can adjust the judder and then blur reduction. Then we've got film, clear, standard, and then smooth. So if you want to get that smoother soap opera-like effect, you can do this here. And then under calibration settings, I personally am not a calibrator, but if you are and you have the appropriate tools, you can go in here and adjust the colors, the color saturation, your white balance, gamma calibration, and then you can just kick this into RGB only mode. And then the last section here is you can reset everything under the picture section. Under screen settings, here we've got picture size. Right now, I've got 16:9 overscan, which is grayed out right now. So this will be clicked on depending on what you're watching. Your screen type, you can choose between plastic, high gain, and then we've got ambient light. If you want to change it to an ambient screen, you're going to have to restart the projector. And then under screen size, we've got all the way down from a 100-inch all the way up to max 200 inches. My screen is 150 inches, so I'm going to put it on 150. And then screen sync. And then the next section here, we've got the sound settings. We've got your TV sound effect. You can turn on the Dolby ATMOS. So if you want to get that Dolby ATMOS effect out of the speakers built into the projector, you can turn that on here. We've got your different sound modes. Under advanced settings, we've got the acoustic tuning, equalizer, which you've got a few different bands here, and then your balance. We've got the auto volume control, volume level, lip sync delay, and then you can reset all of the sound settings here. We've got EARC compatibility, digital audio output, HDMI audio device guide. This is WISA speaker compatible. And then you can just turn off the image and just listen to audio only. And the next section is the audio output. You can either use the TV speakers, which is the speakers built into the projector, ARC if you have this hooked up to a compatible receiver or processor, the optical out, Bluetooth, WISA, and then you can just always use the TV speaker. Now if we back out of this, if you hit the menu button on the lower left-hand corner of the remote control, this will bring up your quick toolbar here on the bottom. You can jump automatically to the settings, to the quick tools, and then we have here, we've got just your quick access to all of these other settings that make it easily accessible by hitting that menu button on the remote. And you can add or remove any settings that you deem unnecessary for your usage. But if we go under laser settings, here we've got the different projection modes right now. This is on front. We've got front ceiling, rear, and then rear ceiling. We've got auto keystone correction, which will automatically adjust the image to fit your screen. And then if you want to do this manually, you can go into here. And then here we've got the 4-point correction, so you can adjust all 4 corners. So select the corner, and then by moving the control pad left or right, you can see that you can move any one of these corners. And if you hold down on the OK button on the remote control, you can go from 4 points of correction up to 8 points. So now we have not only the corners, but every point in between. And then of course with the auto keystone correction, the projector will automatically try to align this for you. And then for focus adjustment, you would just move the keypad up and down to adjust your focus. And I will say that it is pretty sharp in all 4 corners once you get this perfectly aligned. So the focus actually works really well. Then the focus uniformity on this projector in my unit is razor sharp. Then for eye protection, you can turn this on or off. So if you happen to pass in front of the projector, this will automatically turn the laser off so you don't accidentally blind yourself. And of course, this does support 3D. Under DLP turbo mode, this will disable the image processing, which will also disable the image correction as well as the 3D features. So if you are a gamer, make sure your screen is aligned up to your wall or your screen, and then click this on for the best input lag. And then for ultra sharp mode, you want to keep this on if you want to get that 4K resolution. As far as 4K, of course, the apps do support 4K, Dolby Vision, Dolby ATMOS. As you can see here, we are on Netflix's Atlas, which does support 4K and Dolby Vision. If you want to bring up the Dolby Vision picture settings, all you do is press on the menu button on the remote control, and then you can see under picture mode, we do have Dolby Vision Bright, Dolby Vision Dark, and then Dolby Vision Custom. And of course, YouTube also supports 4K HDR as well. All right, so let's back out of this. Now, if you do have some 4K material on your network, you can go ahead, download VLC, and you can go ahead and choose whatever you've got here. I've got Peacemaker Season 1 in .mp4 format. And depending on your network speed, it should automatically just start playing. And you can see here that it does play in Dolby Atmos. So this thing has no problem streaming 4K material over network. All right, here's a few shots of the tone mapping in action. You can see that Dolby Vision does look better than HDR10 Plus with Dolby Vision in dark mode, which you can easily see in this video. And with standard HDR10 material, the higher the nits, the less detail there is in the bright areas. The 600 and 2000 nit demos look relatively the same, and the same goes for the 4000 and 10,000 nit demos. For active contrast, I personally like to keep it on low, but you can see the higher the setting, the more contrasty the image gets, but it also starts blowing out the brighter highlights. If you're watching something dim, then this setting can work out really great. And here we are at the scenario enhancement. As you can see right now, I've got it off, but if we turn it on, you should see the laser slightly dimmed down, which will enhance the black levels. However, using this while watching content, I've never noticed it working, so I've never noticed the laser kind of dimming up or down. So whatever they're doing a really good job on it. Also, doing a side-by-side, it is kind of hard to tell. I mean, you can see here that with the scenario enhancement on, the blacks do look slightly better, but I think unless you have these things going side by side, there's a pretty good chance you're probably not going to notice that much of a difference. If you do want that brighter image though, I would say keep it off, but you will be sacrificing a little bit better blacks. Now here's a comparison with the Sony Projector 8. Aside from the difference in temperature, the Hisense hold its own pretty good with the Sony. It may be hard to tell in this video, but the Hisense's blacks are slightly more grayish. I think the resolvable detail is better on the Sony, being a native 4K projector, so the image does have a crisper look, and the Sony's lens is playing a big part in this as well. The focus uniformity is equal across the entire screen on the Sony, where the Hisense is a bit softer on the outer top edges. But still, the Hisense does a really good job in comparison for a much less expensive projector. Now on the PX3 Pro, they brought back 3D support, and I thought it looked great on that projector. However, this projector now supports 5,000 lumens, and I tell you what, this is probably the best looking 3D that I've seen so far in my personal home theater. Now, of course, under the laser luminance setting, you're going to want to put this on high. You can turn the scenario enhancement on or off if you choose, but I also like to turn on the HDR enhancer, which will take the SDR content and make it HDR-like. So this gives the image a little bit more pop. Subjectively, I like to add just a little bit more kick to the image. Also for color, I've got dynamic color enhancer on high as well. So I feel like if you want to add even more saturation to the image, kick this up on high. This gives a slightly more brighter image. And when you have the glasses on and this is all maxed out on laser luminance, this looks like you're watching just standard SDR content without having any kind of glasses on. So it's actually that bright. And this is projecting on a 150-inch screen. Obviously, if you go smaller, the image will be a lot brighter, or if you go bigger, so if you max this out at 200 inches, I'm sure the image will take a hit in brightness, but for my use case at 150, this looks like I don't even have glasses on. So I'm very impressed with this projector. And if you are going to pick up a projector just for 3D and an ultra short throw fits your usage case, then this is definitely going to be the one to go for.
Good gosh, there's got to be a better way to do this.
One thing that I have noticed while listening to this projector is that they have the bass turned up all the way on this projector. So I would highly recommend you go into the equalizer and turn the 100 Hertz all the way down. Otherwise, you are going to bottom out the speaker quite often, especially if you're watching big action movies like this. But as far as the Dolby ATMOS surround sound effect coming from the projector, this gives you a wide front soundstage. I never got the impression that anything was ever flying over my head. But turning the Dolby ATMOS feature off, it did shrink the soundstage, so it sounded as if the sound came more directly from the actual projector itself. But keeping the Dolby ATMOS on, you do get a slightly wider spread across the front stage. Maybe if you had a smaller space, or maybe if your ceiling wasn't as tall as mine are 10 feet, maybe if yours are like 7, 8 feet, you might get a better sensation. But from my situation here, what I got was a wide front stage rather than something that would surround me. Now keep in mind, since my projector screen does take up most of my front wall, I did have to place the projector on the floor. So in order to get this to sound proper, you will have to raise this up to near ear level. So if you do have a large screen, just keep that in mind as far as projector placement and as far as audio is concerned, because you don't want the sound to come from where your feet are. Alright, so one strange thing that I have found out, at least with the unit that I'm using right now, is that if you turn on the ultra sharp mode, which will kick on the pixel shifting, you can hear what I believe is the pixel shifting inside the projector. So you'll hear this kind of almost like a scratchy sound. Now this doesn't happen every time. I've heard it mostly while using physical media. So if I have a 4K Blu-ray plugged up to the projector and I'm playing a disc, I'll typically hear it with that, and then it'll eventually kind of fade away and then disappear. But if I'm streaming media from Netflix, YouTube, whatever, any kind of streaming service, then I won't hear it. So typically it only happens when I have a 4K Blu-ray player hooked up to the projector. I'm not sure why this happens, but keep that in mind. If you hear a strange noise, that could be what it is. Or maybe it could just be that I have a defective projector. So if you're hearing the same thing with your L9Q, leave a comment down below and let me know. At the time of this video, the Hisense L9Q was selling for $6,000. My favorite ultra short throw projector prior to this was the Hisense PX3 Pro. To me, this was very much the same. I feel the blacks got a bit better, and of course the brightness adds a whole lot to the HDR experience, and 3D is the best I've seen. And this is coming from just having the JVC NZ900 in for review, which cost 3 times more than the Hisense. The negatives are the same for me with every DLP projector. With my screen size at 150 inches, I can see the pixel structure at 10 feet away. Anything beyond that, it doesn't become a problem. So depending on the size of the image that you're projecting, this may or may not be an issue for you. And lastly, the rainbow effect is still present, which I can see every time. So if you aren't sensitive to it, then consider yourself one of the lucky ones. That being said, this did give me some flashbacks of the Epson QL7000, which is a 10,000 lumen projector that cost over 30 grand. It's not quite as bright as that, but it is just as bright, if not brighter, than the Sony and the JVC that I've had in this year, and pretty much any year prior. So getting this kind of brightness without having to spend 30 grand is a huge win for the projector fans. I'm starting to think we're gonna see a lot more of these high lumen projectors in the very near future at very affordable prices. The L9Q is a bit on the pricey side, coming in at 6 grand, but that bright image is, I think, well worth it. And if you don't have the space for a room full of speakers, the built-in surround sound does a nice job of filling in. It's super quiet and looks good enough to where it doesn't exactly look like a piece of technology sitting in your room. In the future, I would like to see Hisense make a full-on dedicated long-throw home theater projector with an all-glass lens, optical zoom, and lens shift with this kind of brightness for the same price, and maybe use a larger DMD to minimize the rainbow effect. That would be a perfect complement to the L9Q. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and just crown this the best ultra short throw projector that I've seen this year. Well, those are my thoughts on the Hisense L9Q. If you want to grab one, I'll leave some links for it down below in this video's description. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you in the next video.